saha nāvavatu, saha bhunaktu, saha vīryam karavāvahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu mā vidvishāvahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we be protected, may we be nourished, may we do brave work, may our work be glorious, may there be no conflict among us, may there be peace, peace, peace. Welcome everyone to today's weekly group meditation session. Before we continue, if anyone can just confirm that they can see and hear me well. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So, in the last week, we switched our gears a little bit. We were talking about 8 limbs of Patanjali Yoga, 8 limbs of Raj Yoga. But then we switched a little bit and we started discussing Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. Raj Yoga is one part, one way of trying or aspiring to achieve or experience the union that is there. Union of the individual with the collective. The union of the soul with the divine. Union of the conscious with superconscious. Raj Yoga is just one way of attempting to experience that unity. But Raj Yoga is not the only way that we can achieve this. And in that context, we saw that there is path which prioritizes devotion, which we are discussing. But then there are also paths which prioritize action, karma yoga. And then there are paths which prioritize knowledge, reasoning, that is Jnana Yoga. Raj Yoga, the practice of yoga, the practice of meditation is fairly popular. A lot of people swear by that. At the same time, Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, reasoning your way to the unity, trying to understand it intellectually, is also very popular. A lot of people actually spend a lot of time discussing about what is reality, how can we experience reality, what is the way to perceive the truth, how do we know some knowledge is right, what are the means of acquiring the right knowledge, all that stuff, epistemology and everything. Philosophy, in one sense you can say. Science is also reasoning based. So all of these attempts fall under the category of Jnana Yoga. Action, karma yoga. We don't see that being discussed a lot, just like bhakti yoga or the path of devotion. But we have seen a lot of karma yogis, a lot of people who believe in action. They don't believe in reasoning your way or they don't believe in dry intellectualizing of stuff. They don't believe in just sitting and discussing things to get to the truth, but they want to do and see it for themselves what happens when they do something. And that is the path of action. most of this society is actually run by those people. Though scientists and researchers do Jnana Yoga, try to get a little bit near the truth, discover principles or laws of the nature, laws of the universe, but that discovery doesn't directly affect all of us. What affects all of us is the work of engineers, the work of people who take that discovery, take that principle, and then put something on top of it so that it becomes accessible to all of us. So the whole of society, the whole of this modern world is actually run by those people who believe in action. If you don't believe in action, just believe in philosophy, then not a lot of things can be achieved. So this is how these three aspects actually are seamlessly integrated in all of existence, in all that we experience around us every day. And then comes the path of devotion that we have been discussing. Where is this? Where do we see the impact of path of devotion? People may say, give example of love, because we discussed a little bit about it. But devotion also means faith. So when a child starts to learn something, when a child first goes to the nursery, goes to the primary school or kindergarten, their teacher teach them something. Teach them, okay, this, if you make an upward triangle, if you make an upward triangle and then cross that with a horizontal bar, that is what we call A. And the child does not reason that why this only is called A. Why can't we make two circles and call it A? That is faith. You can say that the child does not have that amount of capability, mental faculties to reason, but suppose the child gets that ability. Will he ever be able to go to the next level? He will be constantly reasoning or asking questions about why this is called A, why this is called B, why this is called C. Because we know at this point that these are just conventions. We could have written A in a different way and we could have called it A. This is just a general consensus that, okay, this is something that we will call A. And the effect of just one such agreement on the basis of language is that today we can read a lot of stuff. Today we can share a lot of ideas among each other because all of us have the same ground rules of understanding. If something is written in this way, that is called A. So that is also the way faith works in the society. When you go to learn something, first you have to be a little bit, you have to have faith to understand what is being said. And then when you see the implications of it, then you understand, okay, this may be something which does not exist. This may be something that is not absolute, but this is very helpful. Such is the path of devotion. We learned about these 4 different paths of trying to experience unity. And then we also learned that Brahman, the supreme existence or the supreme or primal cause of existence. When I say primal cause of existence, you can understand in any way. You can understand it as if what is the essence of any substance that we see around us. That is also the same. And you can understand it also as what is the primitive cause of existence. When nothing was there, what was there which gave rise to all of this? If you say even that substance had something as its cause, then we are talking about the later cause. I mean, the former one, which gave rise, which is the first ever known existence. That is what we call the primal cause of existence. So we are tried to understand that also, and we discussed about 4 different levels. We call it levels, but we can actually say that those are 4 different levels of understanding. One is attributeless and formless, that is Brahman, which is very difficult to wrap our head around, because we do not experience anything in this world which is attributeless as well as formless. The second level of understanding is Ishvara, which is formless but has some attributes. What are the attributes? The attribute basically is ability to create, ability to sustain, ability to destroy, which is generally known as God. Generator, operator, destroyer. Right? So that is Ishvara. Then third level of understanding is where there are attributes are absolutely there, and at the same time it can have forms. So that is the level where all these different deities come in picture. All this understanding of Vishnu, Shiva, Ganesha, all of these deities that you might be aware of, they all sit on that plane of existence. That is the level of understanding where we understand. So we see so many different things in this world, so many different attributes. Somebody is very so suppose you are a Brahman, suppose you are a person who is involved in the activity of teaching and learning. So your primary focus for your life will be to assimilate knowledge as much as you can. And if you want to inculcate that quality, and at the same time you also want to experience unity, then you worship a particular form which we call Saraswati. Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge. So that one form, that one way of ascribing to the supreme reality becomes the pathway for a person who is involved in teaching and learning to approach divine. Somebody who is in the profession of say military or force, or somebody who is in the in defense services, right, where you have to bear arms, where you have to do some real seemingly cruel stuff to protect citizen, to protect nation, to protect whatever, right? To provide protection to those who you think are weak and they cannot protect themselves. So how do you approach God with that understanding? So then there are different attributes, like Shiva is there. You worship Shiva. You see the Supreme as the supreme lawmaker or supreme punisher, right? So you can put that quality, and that's how the imagery Shiva comes in. So at any point of time, every person need to inculcate certain qualities in their life based on their profession, based on their age, based on the situations that they are encountering. And then they see the Supreme in a form, they see the Supreme in a form and comprising of attributes that are directly related to what he is trying to achieve, and having that personal connection with that particular form makes that one attribute powerful inside of them. That is the third level, where you have Bhagavan, deities, different forms. Every form has different attribute associated with it. Whatever attribute you want to inculcate in yourself, you pick that for that deity as your favorite. The word favorite, actually, the Hindi word or the Sanskrit word for favorite is Ishta. So you pick a Ishta Dev, your favorite deity, and you try to build a personal connection with that deity, and slowly that quality which that particular deity signifies starts growing in you. That is the level of Bhagavan. And then the fourth level is Avatar, when the supreme consciousness descends on a living, walking person in blood and flesh. And everybody has access to that person. Everybody can go and ask their doubts. They can ask questions. They can learn from them. They can see their life, how to live in this existence, upholding dharma, without leaving any commandment, without giving yourself to the mental modifications where the mind and your ego asks you to do something and you surrender to it. Without doing that, how can you still live your life? That is what the fourth level, avatars, teach us. Some famous avatars are Rama and Krishna for sure, but then there are many avatars. So in Bhagavad Mahapuran, it talks about 24 different avatars of Lord Vishnu. Shiva also has a lot of avatars and all that. But these are the 4 different levels on which we understood the supreme existence. Now, somebody may say, are these 4 different or are these 4 same? So, the difference or the similarity between all these 4 understanding of levels of understanding is similar to the difference between what is the difference between a second, a minute, an hour, a day, a month, a year, or time. Time is an illusion. Time doesn't exist in the sense we use it. But all of these different definitions of time, that this period will be called second, this period will be called minute, this period will be called hour, this period will be called day, this period will be called month, and so on, are very helpful. So, if you want to ask a scientist, if a scientist is asked, how much time will it take for Chandrayaan to reach moon? And then the scientist gives answer in terms of seconds. It will not be very useful because it is a very small unit of time. So he has to use a proper unit to explain or to convey what he wants to say. Similarly, if I say how much time does it take for hair to grow 7 inches, and if I tell in terms of light year, it will not make sense. This is a very important thing to understand, that all of these different distinctions are made to serve different purposes. And even though you understand the absolute reality in its true sense, that time is an illusion, but you cannot live your life with that understanding. You have to come down to relative understanding, relative truths, and you have to use it for your purpose the best you can do it, right? Similarly, even though we understand what is the supreme existence, what is unity, what is God, right? What is Brahman? But you have to ask yourself, does this intellectual understanding help you to experience that divinity? If no, then you have to choose a form, choose a level of understanding that you can relate to. That is why these 4 levels are there: Brahman, Ishvara, Bhagavan, and Avatar. So you have to know that what is that form, what is that level of understanding where I can experience it. Because without experience, dharma is nothing. If you do not experience, dharma becomes a set of rules which you may follow for a certain time, and then after a certain time you may feel completely burned out because you do not have any real understanding of what effect it is bringing into your life. So having experience is very important. Even having experience of the supreme reality is very important, and you can experience it by choosing the right level of understanding that you are currently at and trying to build a personal connect with that level. That is the one reason why these 4 levels are important, and that also explains what is the correlation between all of them. So From the standpoint of absolute reality, none of this exists. From this standpoint of existence, none of these actually exist. Second, minute, hour, none of these exist. This is all from our perspective. Same is with all the four definitions of the supreme existence. None of these actually exist in the absolute true sense. But all of these are very helpful for people who are trying to work their way at different levels in their journey. So one has to understand that point. Now, how do we make use of all of this? So a very popular way to build personal connection with something is known to all of us, but we probably have not put that kind of emphasis on why that is such a popular method of building personal connect. So all of you must have seen graphics or cartoons where a tree is shown as talking. Some artist would draw a tree and then they will draw a mouth, some eyes over the tree, and then they can make that tree talk in a cartoon and in animation videos. And similarly they can do anything. I mean, there is a movie called Cars. That series is very popular and it has multiple movies in that series, and cars are shown as they are talking, right? We see a lot of memes and lot of reels and shorts where you will see a cat is there and the cat is looking at the owner in a certain way, and then you will see a speech bubble and it will say something as if the cat is saying that, like, "Who man, where is my food?" or something like that. What is all of this? All of these are examples of personification. So to build a personal connect with anything, we personify that. We can personify this laptop. For the laptop which is in front of me, I can personify this. If I want to make a personal connect, I can feel as if, okay, I charged my laptop yesterday. Probably today my laptop is hungry. Now I know what it feels to be hungry. And then I am motivated to charge my laptop. If I just think, okay, it is discharged, what does it mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense, But when we personify, our brain is so in tuned to understand human emotions that we effortlessly are set in a position where we can take care of something very dearly. We can build that connection. Poets do this all the time. They will personify river, they will personify trees, plants, flowers, everything. And we all love those poems where nature is personified and all that. In India, we have been using the same exact technique for millions of years to build this personal connect with nature, with divine. So we worship everything. We worship plants, we worship a piece of paper, we worship even the broom, we worship all animals. And similarly, we worship idols also. We personify that idol as if it is divine. We connect to the divine through that idol. We personify it. We think of it as a guest who has come to our house. And then we treat it as if we are treating a real guest, taking care of all its unsaid needs, all of its unsaid expectations. And that's how we build a personal connect with the divine. If you start to see the divine in a deity, you can start to see the divine in everything around you slowly. There are also certain very interesting aspects about pūjā. Pūjā is worship. It is different from prayer. We talked about it a little bit in the last session. But in prayer, generally, you ask something. You ask for something, and a lot of people will make also promises, transactions. If you do this for me, I will do XYZ for you. If my interview goes well, then I will offer 12 coconuts, something like that, which is silly. Because what is this coconut? You are not producing that coconut. That coconut is anyways coming from that supreme existence. It is the effect of that supreme existence. It exists, that's why everything else exists, and that's why coconuts exist. So you are not in a position to offer anything. So prayer is not a very important part in Indian civilization. What is important is worship, pūjā. Now what is worship? Worship is just expressing gratitude. That is what worship is. So when you worship, there are a lot of steps in worship, which basically is like offering things with the sense of gratitude. That I am very thankful to have this food with me today. I don't know what all it takes to have this here, but I offer a part of this food to you because you are the reason that it exists. You know how this comes into existence. So it is about gratitude. It's not about offering, but it is about gratitude. You can offer anything. In Gita, Bhagavan says, you can offer a flower, you can offer a leaf, and I will be very happy. But it has to be offered with devotion. It does not, you do not need to spend a lot for worship. You do not need to buy expensive things. You do not need to buy gallons of milk and pour it on the deity. What is required is devotion. You can pour just a little bit of water. I can show you. This, this is a very small spoon. You can just offer this much of water, and if you have that kind of feeling inside of you, that is what makes the difference. Otherwise, you can pour rivers and rivers of water and nothing is going to happen. Because it is all about feeling, it's all about experiencing the personal connect with the divine. Feeling, emotion, devotion is of prime importance in all of this ritual. One more interesting fact I will tell about worship. There are two kinds of worship actually. One is what you do daily. On a daily basis, you worship whoever you think you want to build personal connection with, whichever form of understanding of the supreme reality, whichever deity, whichever avatar, whatever you want to build a personal connection, you worship daily. Worship daily means you show gratitude to it for all that you have got on a daily basis. One important part of that practice is you take a flower in your hand, you put the flower in between your palm, you join your palm at your heart center, you try to visualize that deity, and then you understand, you make a thought, you generate a thought that in this flower is the divine that has come out of me. So we understand that all of us has that essence. When I said the supreme existence is both what is the primal cause of existence and also the essence of every substance that is around us. So are we. So divine is also present inside all of us. So what we say is, please appear in the form of this flower so that I can show my gratitude to you. Now I can make this flower, I take this flower, remember the divine in my heart, and then I request divine to appear in the form of this flower or appear in the form of this flower, and so that I can express my gratitude to you. And after we have shown all kind of ways, we have shown the gratitude in all ritualistic ways, like offering water, offering food, everything, Then at the end, what we do, we take that flower, we smell it with the understanding that the divine is again going back into my heart after this whole ritual. So if you see, there is a very important part of this. There are there is one question that you may ask associated with this, and there is very important understanding that also is associated. Understanding is that divine is already present inside all of our hearts, and we are just making it to manifest in front of us so that we can offer our devotion, do some stuff as if the divine is a human and build that personal connect. But the question that also comes is, how can, if the divine is here and it comes out in the flower, what is inside of you? Is it not inside of you anymore, and only when you smell it back, it goes back inside of you? This kind of questions may also come, and this is very basic. There is a shloka which comes in Upanishad, which says, Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate, which basically means that is complete. This is complete. What is that? That means the supreme existence. That is complete. The cause, the primal cause in itself is complete. And this is complete. This means what? This means all of this existence. This is also complete. It is like infinity being taken out of infinity. If you take out infinity from infinity, infinity still remains. If you take infinity and subtract it from infinity, add infinity to it, infinity still remains. Such is the existence. Such is the supreme existence. You cannot ever wipe it off. It will give rise to another existence which will be wholesome, which will be complete in itself. Still it has capability to produce innumerous such complete existences. Such is the nature of the supreme existence. So when we say that may the divine appear in this flower so that I can offer my gratitude, it's not that we are losing the divinity, and if we stop the worship in between, now divine is not within us. It is just a way to have that kind of personal connect, to bring something out so that we can treat it as if we are dualistic. Expression only can happen when something is dualistic. If something is non-dual, expression cannot happen. You can become love, but you cannot show love if there is no dualistic understanding. So we do that, and then at the end we again smell it, and we imagine that the divine has entered into our heart. This is also very important, because now if you do that on a daily basis, every day, if you do that, at some level in your mind, you will have this understanding that divine is within me. In the morning, I smelled that flower. So even at a very crude level, you will have this understanding, and this understanding will be in your conscious mind, not in your subconscious, not in your intellectual bank, but it will be on your conscious mind all the time that divine is present within my heart. This will slowly start changing your behavior. This will slowly start changing the way you start living your life. This is the power of worship. This is the real worship. And then in temples, what happens is, you don't do this part. You don't take a flower and imagine and then put that flower and smell that. What happens in temples, the deity, the form which is kept in temple, is infused with prana. I hope you remember what is prana, right? We discussed about pranayam, the fourth stage of Ashtanga Yoga. So we talked about prana, apan, saman, vayan, udan, the 5 types of prana. There are elaborate rituals through which a form which is kept in temple is infused with all these life forces, and then only we start worshipping a form of that kind. We don't actually worship anything that you build with a certain form. It's not the case. There is a process which is called prana pratishtha. Only when a form is infused with prana through the process of prana pratishtha, then only we start worshipping. And then that worship, that form is considered living. So you don't have to do this ritual again and again every day. Anybody can come who do not even know about worship, who do not even have anything. and they can go into the temple, they can be in front of the deity and experience something different. So if a lot of you probably are new to Indian culture and Indian civilization and this all of these thoughts, right? And you may be having this idea, what I don't believe all of this, but you can certainly experience the effects of all of this. So you can go into a temple, mostly when the temple is empty. So try to go in not so famous temple. Maybe go to when you visit in India, wherever you are staying, go to a nearby temple which is not very famous. Preferably in the morning when there is less rush, and just sit in front of that idol. Close your eyes, you don't even have to see the idol, and try to do your regular spiritual practice, and you see the difference, what it brings. So there are so many things which are actually very helpful. Even if you are not on the path of devotion, even if you are on the path of meditation, on the path of Ashtanga yoga, sometimes what happens is there are certain things that you have not yet figured out, certain things which are holding you back. When you go into that space where that deity is kept, which has been infused with prana, with proper rituals, something changes within you. It is like the blockers get resolved. This I am telling from personal experience as well. So it's not something that is just written in scriptures. It is obviously written in scriptures. Everything that I have discussed so far, everything is based on scriptures. You may say that all of these 4 categories, I can think of another category. Yes, you can think of that another category. But these 4 categories are in accordance with what is in the scriptures. This practice of worship is in accordance with what is in the scriptures. That is also very important, that whatever we do has to be in accordance with the scriptures. What happens otherwise the mind is very good at making all sort of stuff that may even be harmful for us, and we will not have any idea of what will be the long-term effect. Why scriptures are there? Because these things have been done, followed for centuries. Different people have followed, different people have experienced long-term effect of these things, and all of those effects came out to be positive. That's why those are in the scriptures. And the scriptures basically are just guide that this is the right way to do. This has been verified by many people to work in a certain way. That's why you can believe on this. That is the whole point of scripture. Obviously, you can make always your own path, but it's a 50-50 case. You can either succeed, you can fail. Scriptures are like tried and tested ways. So that's the importance of the scriptures. Anyways, hope this clarifies a little bit about how we build personal connect with the divine. Everybody can build a personal connection with the divine. When you are a child, whether you be in India or other countries or anywhere, a lot of people play with dolls, a lot of people play with teddy, a lot of people play with a lot of different forms, right? Humanoids, human-like looking forms, or even if it is a bear, teddy bear, it has a human-like eyes and mouth and everything. This is normal human tendency to be able to relate with something which is humanified, right? And this intrinsic tendency of mankind is exploited to progress spiritually. That is how the path of devotion works. So that is about devotion. This also was longer than I expected, but this is important to understand because all of these different paths actually lead to the same final goal, and none of these paths is actually superior or inferior to any other. Having this understanding, having the correct perspective of what is being done by whom, we can be more empathetic towards people. We can really get into their shoes and understand from their perspective what they are doing. We can respect them the way they should be respected. We can build that harmony that is lacking in today's world. In most of people, even in meditative circles, a lot of people bear this idea is my way is highway. And there is no success if you have that kind of attitude. You have to be always in the mode of inclusiveness. As you grow on this path, if you are not becoming more and more inclusive, even of seemingly absurd ideas, I think that is not the real growth. If you grow, you start to see the hidden thread which binds all of this together. The essence that runs through all of this existence. That essence is the core, and that is what leads to harmony. Harmony is not an idea that we build in our head. Harmony is a feeling that has to be experienced. So that was about devotion, and going forward we will get back to our discussion on Ashtanga Yoga, starting from Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. 4 different stages are still left to be discussed, and then we can discuss a little bit about Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga also, to understand different path as well. But that may take more than a couple of months on the speed we are doing this. But now is the time to start our sit together. I will set a timer for 20 minutes. And there are many more things related to Bhakti Yoga or the path of devotion. The idea of discussing all of this, even when I'm discussing Raja Yoga, even when I'm discussing Patanjali Yoga, even when I'm discussing the basics of Raja Yoga, Yama, right? Truthfulness. I am not expecting all of us to be truthful from the moment itself, completely truthful. It's not possible. Similarly, when I'm talking about Bhakti Yoga, devotion, I am not expecting people to start worshipping things today. Because, as I said, in this path, feeling is the supreme, ingredient. So without proper feeling, without proper devotion, if you do anything, it is not Bhakti Yoga at all. So better, if you want to do something, better you take the path of Karma Yoga. Only when you have built that kind of devotion, you can express your devotion in different ways. That's where Bhakti Yoga comes in. So those who think that they are in a state where they can feel the presence of divine within themselves, or they want some kind of way to express that outwards, for them this is the path, Bhakti Yoga. Those who feel that there is something around them that is always there with them, that they cannot ever escape, that is always guiding them, that is the cause of their existence, that they want to relate on a more personal level, for those is the path of Bhakti Yoga. So having understanding is what we need to do with all these sessions, with all this discussion. The idea is to have understanding of different paths, different ways of trying to reach that unity. Because only when we understand, only when we know, we can appreciate and we can live with harmony. I always talk about harmony because that's one of the core ideas of India. In India, we have the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We consider the whole of this existence, the whole of Earth, as one big family. And we live together, we live with different cultures, different languages, different, um, dresses and everything, different, completely different ways of living together on this land, because we understand that everybody is seeking the same through their own ways, and we appreciate everyone's way. And that is what I am trying to explain here through all of these different discussions. If you can get one thing out of all of this, is to respect everyone's effort, however small the effort may be, to respect that effort and not to force them to come to your own ways, come to your own terms, that this is the right thing to do and you should only do this. No, this is the right thing for you. You can do that, but maybe that is the right thing for him to do. This understanding is the supreme. Only when you have this understanding, you can live in this whole world anywhere without any friction. Okay. Hope that makes sense. You can ask anything if you want at the end of the session, but now is the time to get into our 20 minutes sit. So make yourself comfortable. Close your eyes. You can remove your specs. Rock yourself forward, backward, sideways. To find the comfortable position, keep your hands in your lap. Take a couple of deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale again and exhale. One last time. Inhale and exhale. Let your breathing come back to its normal pace. Bring your attention to your belly region. Observe slight movement in your belly. As you inhale, it slightly expands, and as you exhale, it deflates. Bring your attention to your heart region. Try to notice any sensation in and around your chest region, in your heart region. Heart is the seat of emotions. In the cave of heart is our essence of existence. If you are distracted, bring your attention back to the heart. Try to visualize a small point of light inside your heart, a tiny point source of light. As you pay attention to that light, it becomes brighter and brighter. Feel the presence of that light in your heart region. As you are looking at that point of light in your heart, take a step back and visualize yourself sitting in a room and that light in your heart shining bright. visualize slight smile on your face as this light in your heart glows brighter and brighter. Let that light in your heart shine bright as sun, radiating light all around, filling the entire room and through windows and doors of the room, going outwards, shining in the whole existence. May this light enter into heart of every being on this planet. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinaḥ, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaśyid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all see good. May nobody ever suffer. May the benefits of our practice, may its merits be shared by all. May there be peace, peace, peace. Join your palms, rub them against each other. Cup your eyes with the warmth and slowly open your eyes. So that was today's session. If anyone wants to discuss anything, share any experience, they can join me on stage. They can raise hand and then they will be invited to speak on stage. Yes, Dr. Whitejack. Yes, you may speak.
Hello, hi. First of all, thank you very much for the session. It was amazing.
Thank you.
But I actually wanted to ask you, because I'm just starting the meditation thing, and I wanted to ask you if it's normal that I lose focus in the middle of the session. And how can what can I do?
Normal. First thing is losing focus in the middle of the session is very normal, and every time you bring your attention back is where you are putting the effort. So if in the beginning somebody is able to recognize that 5 times their attention has drifted, and when they recognized it 5 times, also I'm assuming that all 5 times he is trying to get it back to the object of meditation. And somebody else, if in the beginning though have drifted 5 times but only have recognized it only 2 times, then the person who might come saying that his attention drifted 5 times is actually doing better, because he is able to recognize that drift more times and is able to bring it back to the object sooner, right? So drifting of attention is very normal, but how we approach it is what strengthens our practice. So if we do not get disheartened by this, we still keep our attitude gentle towards our attention and bring it back to the object without feeling any kind of remorse or any kind of defeat, because this is very normal. Accepting it as it is, that's where the actual practice happens. So, and the way to improve this is, there are multiple ways actually. One is definitely the practice itself. The more you practice, the more you recognize, the more you bring it back, it becomes better and better. Slowly you will be able to catch it within a couple of seconds. If initially you were only able to catch it after a minute or so, then at a later point you will be able to catch it within a couple of seconds. That is definitely one way to improve, is to practice and practice every day. Try to meditate regularly, and then our environments also make an impact on how our mind works. So it is always suggested that we try to meditate in the beginning in a calm and quiet place. So I'm hoping that you are already taking care of that, not with a lot of distraction, trying to keep your phone away, trying to keep your door shut in a room where you are alone. Generally, it is not advised to meditate outside when you are beginning in this practice, because there will be more distractions and many variables on which your mind might go. Another thing is, you need to practice regularly, preferably daily. And also, our mind associates activities with places and time. It gets into our biological rhythm. So it is also recommended that we meditate on the same place, on the same time, as much as possible every day. There can be slight variations here and there. Someday you are traveling, someday you can't do. That is fine. But most number of days you should try to stick to a particular place, particular time, so that your mind also gets trained that, okay, for next 20 minutes it is going to. So you will, if you start doing this, you will see that even before getting into meditation, so suppose at 5 a.m. in the morning you are meditating every day, 4:30, 4:45 itself your mind will start becoming more and more calm. So that is how our body works. So we have to take advantage of this also.
It's gonna adapt with the habits. Yes.
Yes.
So thank you very much for clarifying that. And second and last question: is the position in which I'm meditating, it's important, or can I choose whatever position I want?
One thing which is considered very important is to keep our back and head in straight line, erect, vertical.
So no lying down.
Yes, lying down is considered relaxation exercises. So there are a lot of exercises which are relaxation, like Kaya Kriya is there, like Yoga Nidra is there. Those are the practices which you do lying down. But when you are meditating, you want your energies to go upward, and that's facilitated by this posture. Your position of legs and hands are complementary. So complementary in the sense is it is just there to give you a more stable base. So generally we sit in cross-legged, but that is only to get a more stable base. A lot of people actually also meditate in Vajrasana or Burmese pose. So that is also fine. It is about stability for the lower part of the body. But only requirement for meditation is to keep your spine and head erect. If you know about Kundalini, you know that it moves from the downward chakra to the upward chakra. Even when you are not doing Kundalini sadhana, as I explained in the beginning of the session itself, there are many paths to the same goal. Even if somebody is not doing Kundalini sadhana, if he is meditating regularly, Kundalini will rise. And the success, for successful people, mostly it is when the Kundalini has risen. So you have to give it those conditions when it can rise. So that is also one important reason why we are advised to keep our spine straight. We might not know anything, but this is how body works. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for those advices. I'm going to try to work with them. And again, thank you very much for the session.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. I see one more hand raised. I will invite Vadar to speak.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes.
Vadar.
Hi. Yes. Thank you for the session. It was wonderful, and I love the experience. I have a question regarding the visualization exercise you shared with us, like
Right.
the lights. And I find myself, it's really difficult to me to visualize the light because I'm trying to intellectualize more than feeling it, So is there a better way to approach? And before I end, I have another question regarding the concept you shared with us, such as the 4-step of the superconscious. Is there a book that you can recommend as an introductory to such concept? Because I love to read more about them. And thank you so much.
So first thing about visualization. Visualization can definitely be hard for a lot of people, and that's why there are, as I said, there are many different ways in which we approach practice. And in all these sessions, what we are trying to show is as many different ways as possible to different people, so that they can find their own practice out of these millions of ways, and whichever practice gives them the most benefit or result, they can stick to that practice as their daily practice. So for some people, obviously, I understand visualization can be difficult, but those who are not visual, for example, those who are artists, those who paint, those who do graphic design kind of stuff, for them visualization will be very easy. But those who cannot, there are other ways, like you can focus on a particular sound. Like if you remember in the last session we did so hum, trying to imagine the sound of so as we breathe in and trying to imagine the sound of hum as we breathe out. So a lot of people are also auditory, so they like to hear podcast instead of looking at a screen for extended period of time. So they enjoy music more than, say, videos. So there are different kinds of people, and that's why there are different kinds of practices. But if you want to still do visualization, then you can change the object of visualization. For example, you can start to imagine a lotus in your heart. Lotus is considered a very good symbol because of the fact that lotus stems from mud, and stems from mud and still is beautiful. It still is beautiful. When you pour water, or the water which is in the river actually cannot stick onto the lotus petals or the lotus leaf. It just rolls off like pearls, right? So lotus is the signifier of how we live in this existence. among everything that is seemingly bad, but still maintaining our purity. So lotus is considered a very good symbol for visualization. As per scriptures also, I am not saying anything out of my own mind. So these are some of the reasons why certain symbols are chosen. So lotus is something which you can visualize. A point light, it can be difficult to visualize because you don't have any reference to how that point light can emit from nothingness, right? But you can imagine lotus. That will make visualization easy. But even if that doesn't work, then you can try other methods like trying to stay with a sound, trying to stay with a sensation in the body, right? So those are also possible ways. And your other question was, I forgot the other question. Sorry.
Like a book for to read
Oh,
about
yes.
the subconscious. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it is difficult actually for me to recommend any book, because all this understanding that I am sharing with you is a combination of many books that I have read so far. So what happens I will just give you a little bit of insight into how Indian scriptures are actually written. Most of the Indian scriptures are actually discussion between two people. So for example, the most popular one is called Bhagavad Gita. That is a discussion between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, right? A lot of Upanishads are actually discussion. There is a Upanishad where the discussion happens between Nachiketa and Yamaraj. And most of the scriptures are like that. So those are discussion between two people. And when they discuss, you might have seen it in our discussions also. When two people talk about things, they keep switching topics, right? As soon as some tangent comes and they are more interested in that tangent, they will make that tangent as the main subject. And then out of that main subject, another tangent comes, and then they are more interested in that tangent, and then we'll push that into the main discussion. That is how normal discussions happen, and that is how scriptures are also written, because those are discussions. So what happens every topic is discussed partly in one scripture, partly in another scripture, partly in third scripture, fourth scripture, and so on. That is why it is difficult to actually recommend one book where you can get one topic discussed thoroughly. Most of the scriptures are not like discourses. Most of the scriptures are very human discussions. People asking questions and getting answers. From the answer, they are picking up one word or something which they find interesting and then asking another question on that topic. That is how most of the scriptures are. So that is the reason why it is difficult for me to recommend one. But at the same time, I would say that if you want to dive into this world of scriptures, then Bhagavad Gita is a very good starting point, because Bhagavad Gita dives into so many different topics and gives you a taste of many different areas. And then based on your interest, you can start looking into other scriptures which discuss more about that particular topic. So you can get a broad understanding of many different aspects, and then you can deep dive into those.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And, yes. And one last comment. The irony is that I am a graphic designer and I am an artist. Have a terrible visualization. So thank you so much, and I'll try to practice your method of the lotus. Looking forward for next Saturday. Thank you so much.
Thank you for asking the question. Thank you for participating. And if there is any more hand raised, no. Okay. So yeah, then I think we can call this the end of today's session. Thank you everyone for joining, and hope your practice stays strong. Whatever method, whatever technique you find interesting, you employ that in your life and progress. And thank you again for joining. Hope to see you all next week.